Good morning, and welcome everyone to our SoCalGas RD&D research webinar. My name is Alan Leung, and I'm the Customer End Use Application RD&D Project Manager at SoCalGas. For today's webinar, we will be welcoming Stephen Lang with Lantec Products to learn about the exciting research his company's performed with the support of SoCalGas RD&D program to explore the NOx reduction potential of Lantec's MicroNOx Combustion technology. Just as an FYI, today's webinar will be recorded. You can access today's recording as well as our past recording on our SoCalGas Research and Development webpage. Before we begin, I'd like to walk everyone through the GoToWebinar toolbar that should be visible to all attendees. Please enter any questions into the question box. We'll review them during the Q&A session after the presentation. During the Q&A session, we'll also open up the discussion for verbal questions. You will find a few valuable documents in the handout box. You can click the raise hand icon to be called on during the Q&A session. Finally, please note that this webinar is being recorded and will be posted on YouTube in a couple of weeks. The SoCalGas RD&D values safety, reliability, and providing affordable energy delivery today while developing solutions ready for tomorrow. For more information on the SoCalGas RD&D program, please refer to our annual report. The SoCalGas RD&D program has three core pillars: equity, science, and synergy. We champion technologies that support affordable access to cleaner, safe, and reliable energy for all Californians. Our experts in science, engineering, and policy work with the world's finest researchers in the universities, national laboratories, and industry to seek answers to some of today's most pressing energy questions. And lastly, we bring value to our ratepayers by pooling knowledge and funding with researchers, utilities, and research consortia throughout California and across the United States. Finally, we want to stay connected with our stakeholders in the research community and the general public. Please visit our webpage. You can scan the QR code on the screen where again, you can find our annual report. You can also find information about our upcoming webinars and news about the RD&D program. And please reach out to our RD&D team via email with questions, comments, or research suggestions. Also, our RD&D LinkedIn webpage with the QR code that will take you there with regularly published posts about our research and research articles. And our RD&D newsletter that comes out periodically, again with the included QR code. Now, without further ado, I want to introduce to you our speaker, Stephen Lang from Lantec Products. Stephen Lang is currently the Business Development Director for Lantec Products. Steve has years of experience developing, marketing, and supporting products and technology across several fields, including pollution control, molecular biology, internet services, project management services, and combustion technologies. I'm excited for Steve to share the results of our research project with our audience. I will go ahead and turn over the controls to you now, Steve, so you can get started. Thank you.
Thank you, Alan. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to today's SoCalGas seminar. I'm Stephen Lang, Business Development Director of Lantec Products, and I'm excited to share with you today the story of our MicroNOx combustion technology and some pretty remarkable results we achieved in our residential furnace project. And I am just there. So let's get started. We're going to cover four main areas today. First, I'll give you an overview of our MicroNOx technology itself, how it works, and why it's different from other approaches. We'll then dive into the residential furnace project we completed with our partners. Then we'll look at the results we achieved and look at future directions. So let me start by telling you a bit about Lantec Products. We've served the pollution control industry for over 30 years, and our products are used in a wide variety of pollution control systems. Our plastic mass transfer media is used in chemical and biological treatment systems, and our ceramic heat transfer media is used to recover and recycle heat in incinerators or oxidizers that burn off airborne contaminants. What's important about our background is that our applications and customer focus. We don't just sell commodity products, we help design systems, provide performance guarantees, and really understand what our clients need. So it's this focus that led us to the development of our MicroNOx technology. So NOx is formed at high temperatures above 1,000 degrees C when nitrogen and oxygen combine with heat during fuel combustion. Higher flame temperature means higher NOx. This is critical for Los Angeles, of course, and South Coast District, which has among the nation's highest ground ozone levels, of which NOx is a major contributor. When Lantec started to get into NOx reduction technologies, we first examined what was already out there. When we evaluated existing technologies, we found that they generally followed the same premise. Either manipulate flames to reduce flame temperature or eliminate hotspots within the flames that produce the most NOx. These approaches can be complex and expensive, and larger burners generally produce larger flames, which inherently tend to create more NOx. So we took a completely different approach. Instead of manipulating the flame, what if we operate below the temperature where NOx forms in the first place? So MicroNOx operates below 1,000 degrees C, as low as the fuel auto ignition temperature. Because of this, no flame manipulation is necessary. Our breakthrough here came from our RTO background as a heat transfer media supplier. We knew that direct fuel injection RTO systems can achieve complete combustion of contaminants below thermal NOx formation temperature. Thus, RTOs with fuel injection demonstrated perfect combustion with precise temperature control, and as a result, produce almost no thermal NOx. So we knew there was a method of combustion that didn't produce thermal NOx. So MicroNOx technology is the solution that we've developed, taking the fuel injection RTO concept and transforming it into a practical burner. We developed this through extensive iteration with multiple designs, each getting simpler while still remaining highly effective. And we now have a US patent for our combustion technology. So the basic concept is pretty straightforward. You have pre-mixed air and fuel passing through a flame guard flame trap separator into an insulated combustion chamber. The insulated walls of the combustion chamber heat up and provide radiant energy that kicks over the combustion reaction. So actually, rather than a burner, you can think of this as more of an oxidation reaction chamber. Our technology is capable of efficient, clean combustion with high operating capacities and very low pressure drop. This simple demonstration shows the principle. On the top, a standard pipe burner being fed pre-mixed fuel and air produces a long visible flame. But at our insulated combustion chamber below, and the flame disappears while maintaining complete clean combustion. This slide shows combustion in a heat exchanger tube, such as you might find in a home furnace. The top image shows a typical long flame that can impinge on the heat exchange walls. Tertiary air, shown in blue, is added to protect the walls of the heat exchanger. The air through the heat exchanger is thus non-homogeneous and can reduce efficiency. The lower image shows a MicroNOx burner in a heat exchange tube. you get extremely short and even flameless combustion with no tertiary air required. This is a photo of an industrial burner, generally called a cannon burner, retrofit with a MicroNOx combustion chamber that you can see there. This type of burner is used in ovens, heater boxes, and many other applications. The burner here has a capacity of 250,000 BTU per hour, so much larger than residential applications. Here's the emissions data from that burner. This was a quick retrofit. So for someone interested in our flameless operation aspects, so rather than lowest possible NOx. So further emissions optimizations are actually likely here, but what we're seeing is still the NOx levels of 5 to 15 ppm across a wide O2 operating range, and with stable combustion and minimal CO throughout that range. In general, MicroNOx offers extremely stable combustion. It's unaffected by downstream applications. It's quiet, inexpensive, and scalable from domestic to industrial applications. These factors made it, in our opinion, a great candidate for residential furnace development. One important note about Lantec products. We're not a burner manufacturer, so we have developed this technology, and our goal is to develop partnerships for licensing and then implementation by other companies into various applications. Now on to our furnace project. Our MicroNOx residential furnace project was funded by South Coast AQMD P20806, which was a RFP for projects that provide NOx, PM, and VOC emissions reductions. Our specific project was for the design, development, testing, and validation of residential condensing and non-condensing forced air furnaces emitting less than 7 nanograms per joule. As you all may know, the current standard is 14. The furnaces were to meet current operational and safety standards, be cost effective, and be practical for manufacture and field servicing. This was a truly collaborative effort with an excellent team. South Coast AQMD provided the primary funding and regulatory oversight. SoCalGas provided generous secondary funding. Lantec Products was the project lead and led development efforts. Johnson Controls provided engineering expertise and support, as well as provided the furnaces for the project. And GTI Energy provided development support and did the independent testing and validation of the retrofit furnaces. The project went through 3 main phases. Phase 1, starting in 2019, laid the foundation. We did baseline testing of the stock furnaces, benchtop burner development, and establishing our performance and cost targets. Phase 2, from 2020 to 2022, was where the real engineering development work happened. We went through 6 major design iterations. COVID-19 created delays and challenges for everyone, personnel restrictions, supplier issues, the whole thing, but we kept working through it all. The biggest challenge during this phase was what we came to call the whack-a-mole problem. We'd solve one issue and inevitably another one would pop up. And then phase 3, the final phase, was testing and validation. As I mentioned, GTI Energy conducted comprehensive independent tests at their Des Plaines, Illinois facility. As I described, development was a bit like playing whack-a-mole. The most persistent challenge was resonance. Hot combustion hot combustion gases traveling through multiple heat exchanger tubes at the same time can create noise resonance that was loud enough to be unacceptable from a consumer standpoint. One iteration we developed would minimize resonance, but then not ignite consistently due to, often slight variances in gas flow through the different heat exchanger tubes. Another would run too hot for consumer safety, or have a layout that was not serviceable in the field. So here are photos of the different combustion chamber design iterations we went through. I won't torture you with details of all these stages, as it would probably give me nightmares. But suffice to say that many different design concepts were attempted, and a new patent even came out of one of them that wasn't incorporated in the final design. The final design we developed is called the Inline Internal Combustion Chamber, or IICC. It features a single compact fuel air mixing chamber in green, feeding into a single combustion chamber, a single MicroNOx combustion chamber. We had to shorten the factory heat exchanger tubes a bit to fit our combustion chamber. Here is a photo of the actual IICC combustion chamber in the final non-condensing furnace. As you can see, its cross-section is not much larger than the heat exchanger tubes, and it is out of the way of the main blower. Here is the larger capacity condensing furnace with a larger combustion chamber seen on the left. And the right shows the front panel in which minimal changes were made to the component layout. We used carbon steel construction for the combustion chamber with a ceramic fiber insulation liner inside. We also used Inconel steel mesh for the flame arrestor and for a short heat exchange tube liner that immediately following the combustion chamber. These materials are widely proven in high temperature applications and are readily available for manufacturing. As I mentioned, it was a lot of work, developmentally wise, but in the end, we came up with a design that addressed all the project system requirements. One issue we ran into, forced air furnaces have logic boards and systems controlling furnace startup, operation, and shutdown. Our retrofit furnaces both operate with the same exact logic protocol as the stock furnaces, but with some adjusted parameters for fan speed, startup timing, that sort of thing. Unfortunately, we were not able to reprogram the system controls, even with JCI and GTI's assistance. So we used a simple manual startup procedure and then provided GTI with that procedure for their testing of the furnaces. So this brings us to phase 3 testing. GTI's comprehensive third-party testing provided independent verification of our technology. GTI has decades of experience in combustion, R&D, and evaluation with a great reputation in the field. And from all their commercial kitchen work, I can also say they have a great taste in food. This is GTI's NOx analyzer equipment. The thermal probes for their temperature measurements, as well as an example of their thermal imaging testing. And here is GTI's exhaust gas analyzer setup. And now for the emissions, which we were very pleased with. The stock units, which were originally non-Rule 1111 units, so not for sale in South Coast District, ran at an average of 46 nanograms per joule NOx. Our non-condensing MicroNOx furnace ran at just under 2 nanograms per joule NOx, and the condensing furnace ran at just under 1 nanogram per joule NOx. Besides NOx, CO was very well controlled. Often balancing NOx versus CO emissions can be sort of a tricky dance. One goes up and then the other goes down and vice versa. Our technology actually works independently of downstream components. The two different units we retrofit were of different sizes, so I would say, slight design variations likely accounted for the difference in the emissions between the two. So our condensing furnace ended up 86% better than the project target, and the non-condensing furnace ended up 74% better than the project target. As mentioned, GTI ran all their tests using their state-of-the-art testing equipment. I do want to point out that the furnaces were not officially Rule 1111 certified. These were prototype units not ready for sale. So proper Rule 1111 certification of actual production units would need to be performed for actual sale of these units. GTI's overall observations were also gratifying. I mentioned the NOx and CO emissions already, but stable combustion, minimal noise, and consistent startup and operation in both cold starts and hot restarts. Whoops, skip. JCI also wanted to assess whether MicroNOx could be used for multi-stage furnaces, which can operate at different firing rates to conserve energy. These multi-stage furnaces normally do this by adjusting both fuel and air at the same time. Now, because the furnaces were operated manually or started up manually, GTI was not able to run the furnaces in such a manner in proper multi-stage operation. They did run the furnaces at simply increasing and decreasing the gas flow without changing the air. Obviously, this is very suboptimal for the furnaces. But the furnaces actually still ran stably at the increased gas levels, but encountered problems when gas flow was reduced by 50%. This, at 50%, this is an incredibly lean fuel-air mix, so it's not surprising that combustion stability was affected. However, both furnaces were stable when air was properly adjusted for the reduced gas flow. So this should be a good indicator that MicroNOx is suitable for multi-stage furnaces with the correct controls logic. To sum up, our furnaces showed no appreciable change in thermal efficiency, an actual decrease in operational noise levels, and no overheating issues. We weren't able to perform the extended cycle testing that production-ready furnace would go through before sale, but our thermal tests, I think, are a good indicator that ultimately cycle testing should not be a problem with our technology. The furnaces maintain negative pressure throughout the system, which is important for carbon monoxide safety. And our system also, with the component layout maintained, our systems use the original gas control valve in the original position and mounting, and our furnaces were field serviceable as well through the front panel. From a cost standpoint, the cost of the additional materials is about $27 for the base capacity, smaller unit. This is just a raw material cost, but projects below our target of a $100 cost of implementation. Manufacturing of our system should only involve standard processes with no new tooling, which helps with capital costs. While we were working on our project, South Coast AQMD proposed zero NOx regulations for residential furnaces. Obviously, that would have prevented any future implementation of our MicroNOx system for forced air furnaces in this market. The future landscape, of course, right now is uncertain, but hopefully we can play a role in NOx reduction and in future Rule 1111 regulations. Either way, we feel this doesn't diminish the value of the project. We've expanded our understanding of MicroNOx significantly. We solved complex engineering challenges like the resonance elimination and consistent ignition. We've proven the technology performs well in a pretty demanding application. Importantly, all of this knowledge also applies to other applications as well. We have seen success in other applications. GTI actually also completed a P21806 funded project using MicroNOx in a commercial gas fryer with very successful results. And we're working on scaling up to industrial burners in the 1 to 5 million BTU per hour range. So, sorry, snafu with my slides there. There are many other applications where MicroNOx technology makes a lot of sense. We have a tested technology and believe we are capable of engineering real-world solutions. So now we're focused on continuing MicroNOx development and optimization, applying the lessons we've learned to other commercial and industrial applications, and partnering with manufacturers that need NOx reduction across various applications, as well as burner companies looking to improve their NOx reduction offerings. I want to emphasize again the critical role of our partnership with SoCalGas in this project. We are very appreciative of their funding. That really helped through all our developmental delays as well as COVID delays, and appreciate their invitation to speak today. And that concludes the presentation. Thank you all for joining this webinar, and thanks for, again, to SoCalGas for having Lantec here today.
Fantastic. I'm just gonna steal the presentation from you so that I can share the closeout slides. Thank you for your patience. Well, thanks, Steve, for presenting on today's topic, and thanks everyone for attending. The recording will be available on our website soon, so be sure to check out our LinkedIn for an update on when it's ready. You'll be receiving a survey request in your inbox soon, so please take a moment to fill that out. Your feedback will help us improve our webinars and help us select topics that are of interest to our stakeholders. Now I'd like to open the webinar for a 10 to 15 minutes Q&A. Quick reminder, if you have any questions, please click the raise hand icon and we will call on you to grant you access to unmute. Then you must manually unmute yourself to ask your question. After asking your question, please go back on mute. If you'd like to ask your question in writing, please feel free to use the question box and we will ask the question for you. So yeah, let's have a quick Q&A. Let me see if we're getting any questions now. These things usually pop up pretty quickly. But before I, go ahead and look through other people's questions, I actually had a question. So Steve, Just curious, can you talk more about the commercialization timeline, the commercialization potential, what any go-to-market strategy or partnerships that you're currently working on?
Sure. With regard to the HVAC market, in our experience, the HVAC suppliers generally and understandably, I guess I'd say, would prefer more of a turnkey solution. The most direct being a component they can buy that goes right into their assembly process. Another possibility might be something like a complete set of finalized detailed technical designs, including necessary modifications to their existing components. So we were originally late with our technology to the implementation of the 14 nanogram standards. We pursued this project as a way of helping perhaps pave a path to new lower standard, future standards. The zero NOx proposal put us in sort of a no man's land for a little while, even with the completion of this project. So now I'd say we're trying to explore and find the most expedient path forward that takes into account all these different realities of where we all are right now. So we're gonna talk to HVAC suppliers. We're also very open to working with, as I mentioned, burner companies, perhaps engineering firms with more manufacturing background that can get MicroNOx closer to what the HVAC industry wants, as well as the companies that have developed the existing 14 nanogram per joule solutions. As I mentioned, we're not a burner manufacturer. The manufacturing expertise we do have is in a totally different realm. But we've learned a few things along the way, and we're going to try to make the most of what we do have and what we can bring, and try to participate in whatever comes next for Rule 1111. As far as other applications go, there are partners that we're working with for industrial size burners. That's probably our primary focus now, because larger burners can apply to many different applications and different rule sets within South Coast, but larger combustion in general is something that we are trying to do.
Fantastic. I do see a raised hand icon from Zach Bradford. Please go ahead and unmute yourself and feel free to ask your question, Zach. Zach, I went ahead and unmuted you so you can.
Yeah, can you hear me now? Yeah, so it's a little challenging there. Yeah, thank you so much. So I'm Zach Bradford. I'm a biofuel specialist with the California Energy Commission. My question, I know this wasn't in the scope of the project, but I was just curious about any fuel flexibility with the microburners. If you've tested any fuel combinations, or just curious, especially how sensitive this would be to some mixed fuels or contaminants if you were to switch to like a biogas or some other renewable fuel.
Gotcha. That's actually an excellent question. So our system is generally compatible. It will technically work across various fuel types. Simple things like propane versus natural gas, even hydrogen blends and that sort of thing. And biogas, I really wouldn't anticipate a problem even with the nature of biogas and potential contaminants, because our system is very flow through and direct and should be amenable to that. The one comment I would say is that with any particular fuel or fuel combination mix will involve slightly different combustion temperatures than the natural gas testing we've done. So we would need to do more extensive testing to see exactly what kind of NOx emissions or reductions you can achieve with each particular mix. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, that's fantastic. Thank you so much. That's great to hear. And yeah, thanks for the info.
Yeah, you're welcome. If it's something that you wanted to discuss in more detail, of course, please contact us. The contact information for our company and myself are provided via the webinar.
Great. Yeah, thanks again.
Great. Thank you so much for that question, Zach. And I have another question from Joe Rubio. His question is, are there plans to utilize this technology on water heating space as well?
Actually, that is something that was one of the first applications we looked at a few years ago. Back then, I would say we ran into some problems dealing with obtaining that sufficient mixing of fuel and air with the pressure that was available to us, because these are, there's no fans. This is just ambient, pressure through a venturi. But I would say that based on the results we've achieved and what we've learned with furnace development, we actually really would like to go back and take a look and see what we can now do with a domestic water heater. So yeah, it's something we would like to pursue, but I don't have any results or anything like that that I share with you right now.
Thank you for the question, Joe. Another question I have is, you mentioned possibly utilizing the design which is currently used for residential and towards industrial applications. Can you talk a little bit more about, transitioning towards from residential to the industrial application, how form factors may limit or actually provide more opportunity for further NOx reduction or optimization of the design?
Sure.
And also, what is an ideal application within the industrial space that you would actually go after?
So fundamentally, our technology scales really well because of its simplicity. You can, if you can imagine a small combustion chamber and a small burner, you're basically just scaling that up directly, practically 1-for-1 to scale up to a large size. So the actual scale up itself is pretty simple. Now, every application that you're dealing with will have its own set of, conditions, constraints, design constraints, etc. Whether it be, space required, space allowed for the burner, or, what processes are happening downstream, and that sort of thing. So generally, the best I can tell you is that, our technology is pretty adaptable, but in our experience, each application that comes to us that we look at, is going to involve trying to adjust and manage for all the requirements of that application. So that's where a lot of the development really takes place, such as it was with the residential furnace project as an example.
Great. And then I received a question from Nico Bootcamp. His question's about NOx formation, and specifically his question is, in addition to thermal NOx, what were the some other sources of NOx? I know that NOx is formed primarily through thermal, but I think there are other pathways as well. And I wonder, as you scale up towards industrial application, are these other pathways also going to be, a larger contributor to NOx formation?
I would say in general, the other sources of NOx, one is called prompt NOx, and there's another one that's, I forgot the exact term. What I would say on these are all present to small degrees regardless of the size of combustion. So whether you're going from, small domestic application to a much larger industrial, by percentage, the presence of these other forms of NOx are not going to increase. So what's achievable in a small scale should approximate very well to what you can achieve on a larger scale as well.
I see. Thank you for that. I don't see any further questions. I can see if I can pull up another question that I've come up with. Naturally, I'm thinking it's fantastic what you've done with the technology achieving such low values, but considering the recent regulatory landscape, are there potential to go even lower? Is that possible scientifically?
I think it's possible. Because we went through all these developmental stages just to get to where we were. We didn't get a chance to, for example, have the testing done by GTI, then go back and maybe reiterate one more time to see what further optimizations we could find. So it's possible. Now, at some extreme, really low level, you're not going to be able to. We wouldn't know. Combustion system is probably capable of meeting, had it been the zero, absolutely no NOx requirement. But I believe we should be able to actually get at least somewhat lower as well.
I see. That's fantastic. I don't see any further questions. I'd love to give the audience a few more minutes to come up with questions. So one question I'm thinking of is, and I was participating on the project myself, but I think it's really it's really good that you were able to start the project and work through the challenges. But what were some of the major hurdles during project development? I think there's one or two that almost was a deal breaker, right? The project almost couldn't even finish.
Yeah, it was. The as I mentioned, the resonance was the big one that would show up in a lot of cases. And so everything we came up with to try to deal with that, then something else would pop up. Some of our earliest designs, we originally tried to develop a system that required no shortening of the factory heat exchanger tubes. We felt that would be the ideal, the easiest to implement. Basically, just drop our combustion system into a furnace as is, take out their in-shop burners and then put ours in. But it was really hard to do that and avoid overheating problems through the front panel. That would be a problem for consumer safety. Another challenge was, I mentioned the field serviceability. We wanted to have the two most common components that need to be replaced during servicing during the lifespan of a furnace is the igniter, which has a limited lifespan. It's many thousand cycles, but it can go bad, as well as the flame detector, which is very important for shutting down during adverse conditions. If no flame is detected, you need to shut down the gas immediately. So designing the system such that both of those were accessible through the front panel by a technician going to somebody's house, that was pretty challenging as well. So, it's a good example of all the things that can pop up when you actually start to develop a solution for a particular application.
Great, thank you. I received a question from Lisa Larson. Her question is a really great question, by the way. Could this technology be applicable to outdoor furnaces? And also, I'm curious, could this be scaled up for commercial units as well?
Yes, absolutely. Those, in fact, outdoor heating solutions, definitely we've looked at, we had some exploratory talks with companies to develop pool heaters, so this is a water heating, but also commercial air heaters as well. These are all generally, involve heat exchanger tubes, and so our experience here lends itself well to going into these other applications that are at least similar. So yeah, very much so.
Great, thank you. And then Tim Ransdell also has a very similar question, as he wants to know, could this technology also work for clothes drying applications?
Clothes drying applications, yes, we actually have discussed this with GTI, who has worked with industry partners. I'm trying to remember the exact progress of this. A lot of this is ultimately driven by regulations. So if there's not an existing, there's not a new NOx target to hit, then then the incentive, I guess, by the suppliers, to develop, implement, and start manufacturing a brand new system is, to be frank, a lot less. But it could be used in a clothes drying system for sure.
I see. And then I have another question from Joe Rubio. This seems like a very technical question. Currently, mobile homes are exempt from the SCAQMD requirements for ultra-low NOx by paying a mitigation fee. Are there plans to apply this technology for mobile home downflow FAU?
We haven't looked at that yet, but that's actually a really good question. I don't recall off the top of my head the mitigation fee and the fee structure. If it's, if you pay the mitigation fee, then are you completely exempt from a standard? And if so, or whatever the pre-existing standard is. And that's where, we can be caught in between where if existing products meet a standard, or if there's a mitigation standard that essentially allows you to bypass it completely, then it's figuring out where we fit in and what we can do that that is practical for a manufacturer to implement. But so I do have to look at those standards, because I'm generally aware of the difference between that and the household standards.
Well, fantastic. I really appreciate your time today, Steve, and as well as our attendance from the audience. It looks like we're just about at time. Just a quick reminder, the recording will be available on our website soon, so be sure to check our LinkedIn page for an update on when that's ready. Again, you'll be receiving a survey request in your inbox soon. Please take a moment to fill that out. Your feedback will help us out a lot. Again, thank you for your time and attention today, and have a great day. Take care.
Thanks, Alan.